So, in recent reports, President Joe Biden has been facing more and more calls for him to step down as his age and mental decline are abundantly clear for everyone to see. Now, this is still dealing with the aftermath of the Trump debate and also his disastrous performance with George George Stephanopoulos. You have many prominent House Democrats now saying that Joe Biden should step out of the race. And let's be clear here. Even Joe Biden's family has been trying to quell any kind of rebellion, but it's not doing him any favors. And so as it stands right now with this breaking news, President Joe Biden, thanks to the Washington Post, Democracy Dies in Darkness, actually wrote a letter to Congress telling Democratic lawmakers that he won't drop out of the 2024 race. So you know what that means. We're going into the DNC convention between August 19th and 22nd here in the city of Chicago, and Hardlands Media will be covering it with a sense of, well, will the Democratic Party act, or will they fall in line and nominate the senile old goat? And then, hey, by the way, Democrats, he has a second debate lined up in September. So let's go ahead and first pull this up here. Now, I'm not certain that he wrote this or not, but this is from the Washington Post, so let's go ahead and talk about it. And folks, hey, let's have democracy in the chat. Type 1 for if you think Biden wrote this letter. Like, Kit, this is Biden's heartfelt letter to the American people. Type 2, no. Somebody wrote that. Somebody wrote this. Somebody wrote this. So let's go ahead and talk about it. I'm just going to read just a few short excerpts from it. Fellow Democrats, I'm not a Democrat, so F you, Biden. Now that you have returned from your July 4th recess, I want you to know that despite all the speculation in the press and elsewhere, I am firmly committed to staying in this race, to running this race to the end and beating Donald Trump. I have had extensive conversations with the leadership of the party, elected officials, rank and file members, and more importantly, Democrat voters over these past 10 days or so. I have heard concerns that people, their good faith, fears, and worries about what is at stake in this election. I'm not blind to them, but you're also deaf. Believe me, I know better than anyone the responsibility and the burden the nominee of our party carries. I carried it in 2020 when the fate of our nation was at stake. No, you didn't. Obama made a phone call on Super Tuesday. Pete Buttigieg and Amy Klobuchar dropped out. And Bernie, being the cuck that he is, he said, I'm not going to fight anymore. That's why he decided to help you out, Joe. It was Obama, not you. I also know these concerns come from a place of real respect for my lifetime of public service and my record as president. And I have been moved by the expressions of affection for me from so many who have known me well and supported me over the course of my public life. I have been grateful for the rock-solid, steadfast support from so many elected Democrats in Congress and all across the country, and have taken great strengths from the resolve and determination I've seen from so many voters and grassroots supporters, even in the hardest of weeks. I can respond to all of this by saying clearly and unequivocally, I wouldn't be running again let me read that. I wouldn't be running again if I did not absolutely believe I was the best person to beat Donald Trump in 2024. We had a Democratic nomination process, and the voters have spoken clearly and decisively. Wow, we had a Democratic nomination process? We had a primary? When did this happen? Wait, hold on. Wait, are you talking about those lackluster people like Marianne Williamson, Crystal Ball kind of person? You talking about Dean Phillips? You talking about Fat Tony? You're talking about when RFK Jr. was in the Democratic nomination process? Does anybody remember the Democratic primary debates? Wow, what about the high turnout of voters? Oh, wait, none of that happened. And you don't have to believe me. Just go ahead, look it up for yourself, and compare the voter turnouts from not only 2016 and 2020, but compared to 2024. And you'll notice something. Those numbers, they ain't be too high. And last I checked, there was not, nor was there ever, a Democratic primary debate. But according to Biden, he says we had a Democratic nomination process and the voters have spoken clearly and decisively. Oh, you mean the vote blue no matter who she? Bah. I received over 14 million votes, 87% of the votes cast across the entire nomination process. I have nearly 3,900 delegates, making me the presumptive nominee of our party by a wide margin because the game was rigged from the start, Biden. The game was rigged from the start. This was a process open to anyone who wanted to run. Oh, wow. Great. Only 3 people chose to challenge me. One fared so badly that he left the primaries to run as an independent. Oh, you mean how the White House refused to give RFK Jr.'s Secret Service protection? Or the fact that all the candidates, like, it was rigged against him? Like, Jesus Christ. Even Bernie fared better, and Bernie was a cuck. Another attacked me for being too old and was soundly defeated. Oh, you talking about Dean Phillips? Well, yeah. Okay, whatever. The voters of the Democratic Party have voted. They've chosen me to be the nominee of the party. So he's mentioning RFK Jr., Marianne Williamson, and Dean Phillips. Oh, Fat Tony. You still weren't recognized. Do we just say now this process didn't matter? That the voters don't have a say? Well, first of all, the voters never had a say. It was a party. I declined to do that. I feel deep obligation to the faith and trust of voters of the Democratic Party have placed in me this to run this year. It was their decision to make, not the press, not the pundits, not the big donors. Oh, this is lying bull. Not any selected group of individuals, no matter how well-intentioned. The voters, and the voters alone, decide the nominee of the Democratic Party. How can we stand for democracy in our nation if we ignore it in our own party? I cannot do that. I will not do that. So here's what I'm going to do, folks, because I only could read so much bull, because there was no Democratic primary. Hell, there wasn't even a Democratic primary process in 2016 and 2020. Why? Because the game was rigged. This is lying right here. This is a man who's lying. So I will post a link to this article from the Washington Post if you guys want to stomach it, but this is a lie. But don't worry, he had time to talk to his good friend Joe. No, Joe Biden didn't talk to himself in the mirror, but Morning Blow himself on the phone. You want to hear cringe? Here's cringe.
We noted yesterday that it was quite a contrast, the people that were supporting you yesterday compared to, say, a lot of the Washington insiders and Hollywood moguls, and go down the list of very powerful people that want you out compared to the support that you had in Pennsylvania yesterday. That said,
what support in Pennsylvania? What high turnout? Don't worry, I'll be playing that video. But everything has been laid at Biden's feet. He comfortably became the nominee because the system was working for him. Now, to be clear here, the DNC wanted somebody else, because even then, corporate media in 2019, myself and Daniel, we talked about how the media was even calling out Biden not being there. And now what? Out of the blue, he's somehow, Joe Biden's trying to reassure everyone. Everybody knows that there's something wrong. Everybody knows there's something wrong with Biden. And Biden's trying to reassure people, especially with that whack-ass letter. Come on. Democrats, I know you guys like to lie, but Jesus Christ, tell a lie with a little bit more passion. At least believe in it or go all in on it. But the problem is, you can't cover up the fact that Biden is literally shitting the bed. Who knows? Maybe he really is. But you could be better if you wanted to. But corporate media can't lie. I mean, even the big donors, they know there's something wrong with Biden. And everything is being served to Biden. Because even then, folks, because I have another video to play up, and that is Biden in that previous interview where he said he's a proud black woman. Yes, folks, remember that one? Apparently, those questions and everything else were given to the host in advance, just so that Biden wouldn't look like a fool.
There are a lot of people of goodwill who love you, who believe you did a great job in your first term, who are still concerned. Yesterday, the topic came up of the Stephanopoulos interview, where you were asked the question, how would you feel if Donald Trump beat you? How would you feel after you lost? And you said, well, as long as I did the best I could do, that's the most important thing. That's caused Democrats concern, who believe that losing is not an option. What would you say to those who are concerned by that answer?
It's not an option, and I've not lost. I haven't lost. I beat him last time. I'll beat him this time. And this is a guy who, look, we talk about debates. Look at his performance at debates. He lied over, Trump has 50 lies. I mean, look, this is a guy who says 10%.
Okay, first of all, now I watched Due Dissidence yesterday afternoon, right? And it's the same Joe Biden who was saying that Trump was yelling, Trump was doing this and that, Trump's a liar. Look, Trump wasn't arguing or screaming or acting like a nutcase. Dare I say a controversial statement in 3, 2, 1. He was actually pretty well behaved. I mean, come on. I'm going to take these words from Keaton. You know, Trump was looking at the camera like, can you believe this? This is what the Democrats put forward. We all saw the same debate. We all saw the same George Snuffleupagus interview. He's not there. But guess what? Hard Lens Media and everybody else, you included, we all saw this. We all saw how incompetent and inept and on the clear pathway of mental decline that Biden was on, even way back in 2020. This is nothing new to us, but yet here's a Democrat doing what they do best, a politician in its natural environment, lying.
Son of the universe. Yeah, I want to get into Bennett. He's just a liar, and he hasn't done a damn thing since the debate. He's been riding around in the golf cart for 10 days, was down in Mar-a-Lago talking with his wealthy friends. I'm not running because of these guys, Joe. I'm running because, and you know me well enough to know this from the very beginning, I ran because I never bought on in the trickle-down economic theory. I never bought into the notion that we have to walk away from the rest of the world and cave to Putin or anybody else. I've never believed any of that. And I'm confident that's where the American people are.
Yes, but you're a joke and a clown. And I want to pull this up here. First of all, my audience, I love you. But sometimes your comments are very brutal. Be nicer. Who's teaching you how to be mean? But fired for playing the game. This is just painful at this point. Absolutely. Pointing finger, says KC. Barnes Homestead, I know. Dear God, we're just in July. If Biden's lips are moving, he's being a liar. And Melanita says, Biden, but Trump was yelling at me. And Sean Moon, gaslighting on steroids. Absolutely. Absolutely. I didn't understand what he said. I don't think he knows. That's from Donald Trump, you know? Donald Trump. Now, folks, I mentioned something. Here that a lot of people need to come to terms with, and that is, look, Biden is clearly not there. And I want to play a video that I played in an earlier segment last week, only 35 seconds, where Biden says, and this was after the debate, and I think a little bit after the George Snuffleupagus interview.
I remember as a Catholic kid growing up in an area where we didn't like Catholics didn't get elected. I'm the first president elected statewide in the state of Delaware when I was a kid. Well, you know, I looked at John Kennedy and said, well, he got elected. Why can't I get elected? By the way, I'm proud to be, as I said, the first vice president, first black woman, served with a black president. I'm proud of the first black woman in the Supreme Court. There's just so much that we can do because together there's nothing. Look, this is the United States of America. I remember as a Catholic.
Right. Now, I found that interview to be a little bit crazy, a little bit funny. I want to pull up this video here because Biden's saying he's working hard. You know, he's over-prepared, over-prepped. But, folks, WRD Radio, the radio station where that interview took place, where Biden said he's a strong black woman. First black woman and president of the United States. Okay, hey, step aside, black women. Old white man Joe Biden's going to show you how it's done. Apparently, WRD Radio cut ties with Andrew Loeffler Sanders, who admitted yesterday on CNN that she was given pre-approved questions from the Biden administration prior to their interview on the Philadelphia radio station. People of Philly, people of Pennsylvania, your radio stations could do so much better. In fact, Hard Lens Media on radio would, hey, look, listen, Hard Lens Media from Chicago. If we were on radio, we'd take over Pennsylvania radio. Much love to you guys. But hey, don't believe me? Here's how it is. And one has to wonder if George Snuffleupagus also got a list of questions for him to ask Biden. Come on. The game being rigged? Am I being mean? Absolutely.
You asked 4 questions, and maybe that's what you were allowed to ask by.
Hold on. There's a little bit of music being played here. So that's why we got Case Study QB. Sorry about that here, folks. I thought I had the correct video up, so that's why we have Case Study QB. Be sure to follow him on social media. He's doing some great stuff here. So let's go ahead and have that set up from Case Study QB about what the heck's going on here, because it is just painful to watch, and it's sad to watch. that this is what the Democrats have to do. They have to act like clowns in order to make their boy Biden look great. So here it is.
Another local radio show host who interviewed President Biden after the debate admitted to receiving questions from the campaign. Lauren, come on back in. What is the radio show host saying about it?
Andrea Lawful Sanders said she agreed to the questions ahead of time. Watch here.
Were those questions given to you by the White House, or did you have for the campaign, or did you have to submit questions ahead of this interview?
The questions were sent to me for approval.
Sent for approval, following orders. Now, obviously, you know, if you're doing an interview, you could at least give a gist of, okay, hey, here's what we're going to talk about. You just don't give the questions all the way, you know. Occasionally here to like, hey, what are we going to be talking about, right? You could do that, but no. The Biden administration did this. Knocked on the door, said, here are the questions. Follow the orders. Do not deviate.
He approved of them.
Okay, so the White House sent the questions to you ahead of the interview.
Yes.
Okay.
I got
So you didn't do anything original, lady.
several questions, 8 of them, and the 4 that were chosen were the ones that I approved.
Yeah, her station says they never approved of any of that, and Lawful Sanders is no longer with the company. The company says this practice of delegitimizing Black voters' voices continues today. WURD Radio is not a mouthpiece for the Biden or any other administration internally. We will commit to reviewing our policies, procedures, and practices to reinforce independence and trust with our listeners. But mainstream media should do its own introspection to explore how they lost the trust of so many Americans, Black Americans, chief among them.
Yeah, she didn't seem to realize there was anything wrong with that.
No.
They had to get rid of her.
And the other station host who also agreed.
I mean, that's just beyond stupid. But this is what the Democrats do. By the way, for a radio host, boy, oh boy, you know, you could have kept quiet about that, you know, but you just went out there and blurted it. But hey, you know, once again, adding more fuel to the fire about why the Democrats should have let go of Biden way back in 2023. And I'm being generous here. They should have started really having this conversation after the midterm election cycle in 2022. Because now Democrats, old man Biden wrote a letter. I read it earlier in the segment. Wrote a letter saying why he's not going to drop out. Then he goes on Morning Blow. Does the same thing too. Gaslighting on steroids. Saying why he's going to stay in and why Trump's a very, very bad man. Trump's a bad man. But they are sending pre-approved questions. And the thing is, you can't stop this. Look, more of this. Here's Biden in the great state of Pennsylvania saying how he's a senator. Now, last I checked, maybe I'm wrong here. Let's have democracy in the chat. As a U.S. senator, what state did Biden represent in our wonderful Congress? The state of Delaware or state of Pennsylvania? Type 3 for Delaware, type 4 for Pennsylvania. The answer is Delaware, number 3. There better be a lot of 3s. Listen, I love Pennsylvania. You guys are close to my heart. I got to tell you, because I've been to Pennsylvania a few times. This is horrible to watch.
But look, even when I was...
And I will be raising the volume on this. I apologize. The volume's a little low, but just listen carefully as best as you can.
But look, even when I was running for Senate, and each time I ran, quite frankly, not a joke, Philadelphia in particular, got me across the line.
Philadelphia? Philadelphia is not in Delaware, buddy. Wrong state.
No, I'm not joking. No, I mean it seriously. Organizationally, and in terms of fundraising, the whole deal. But look, here's the deal. This election is going to be about block and tackling, simple, basic politics. Simple. It's going to be a matter of how many signs we get out, how many doors we knock on, how many calls we make, and how many requests we answer.
37 seconds of cringe. I want to pull up this article from RT just to trigger the libs. And don't worry, libs. I got a special message to read to you guys, too. This is from RT. America doesn't have a president, Elon Musk. So, look, I got my criticism of Musk as well, but let's hear this thing out. The U.S. does not have an actual president and has not had one for a while. Tesla and SpaceX founder Elon Musk has suggested. He's not wrong there. I mean, dare I say it, probably the last true president we've had who at least had an agenda. and I'm willing to deal with an argument here and there from people, would probably have to been JFK, the last great Caesar, independent before the Praetorian Guard, the lobbyists, took over. Musk took on his X, formerly Twitter, social media network, to dip into the ongoing political debacle in the aftermath of the debates between U.S. President Joe 30330 and former leader Donald Trump. He reposted a message by another user with a screenshot of an opinion piece run by the New York Times. Does America need a president? What we need is a Caesar. Hashtag cross the Rubicon. Real question, since we obviously haven't had one for a while, Musk wrote. So here's real question, since we obviously haven't had one for a while. There's an opinion piece. Does America need a president? We don't have a president, honey child. And with a president like Joe Biden, folks, I want to introduce you to the team of stupidity. This is Joe Biden's speech writing team. These people. Look at them. These are the guys and gals. And look, a part of me wants to slap them upside the head. Another part of me kind of wants to take them out for a drink and hear their sob stories, because these are smiles of these are fake forced smiles. They know their job is shite. They know their candidate's shite, and they're doing everything they can to put on a facade before having a major meltdown. In fact, let's have democracy in the chat. Type 5 for if you think these smiles are real. Type 5 for Kit. These are proud Democrats helping Joe Biden. Shame on you. They're smiling out of joy because they're going to save America. Type 6, man, this is a facade. These people probably have drinking problems. These people are probably emotionally stunted. They're probably going home at night, looking themselves in the bathroom mirror saying, come on, Bobby, you could do it again tomorrow. You just got to put your pants on, brush your teeth, and you'll do it. You could do it. This is the speech writing team. But if you want to hear how bad it's going to get, because honestly, those people right there, I mean, maybe one of them wrote that little letter that Biden said, I'm not going to drop out. But here's the president of these United States. Listen to me very carefully, folks. If he truly becomes the nominee after the DNC convention here in August, he's preparing for another debate.
Do you value the thoughts of the officials in your former president coming again?
I hope he'll debate me. I wouldn't be surprised
And
if
if he's in, will you commit to debating him?
I'm committing now, absolutely. Whether he's in or not.
Do you value the thoughts of members of your own party when it comes to your decision to stay in the race?
Sure I do. That's why they've said, you guys saw the governors. Every one of them in that room. All those governors said, stay in the race.
Laura Healy.
Laura Haley didn't say anything when I was in the room. Okay?
Now, I want to pull this up here because liberals, you're in a bit of a quandary. Liberals, I understand that many of you are triggered by Donald Trump. Now, I've been told, Kit, you're being petty. Kit, you're being mean. You're being very arrogant. You have a bit of an ego, and it's none of that. I'm not being arrogant. I don't have an ego. Yes, I might joke saying like, yes, ha ha ha. It's just I remember 2016 and the aftermath of 2020. I remember a lot of you liberals being on cloud nine, laughing and blaming us at the same time, progressives and independents. But no matter what happens, people are going to look at liberals as clowns. Case in point right here, because it's going to be a difficult time. And I think this is a perfect way to end the segment. And I'm going to read it out from Due Dissidence. Shout out to Due Dissidence. We know this is a very confusing time for a lot of our blue MAGA friends. Here's the very same media you never questioned telling you to question the cognitive fitness of a president that up until 2 weeks ago, they were telling you never to question. The cognitive dissonance must be overwhelming. Media good, Biden good. Biden say he fine, media say fine. Arrgh. But don't worry, you beautiful dummies. Sooner or later, DNC and the media will get back on the same page, and they'll either be writing articles about how they had it all wrong about Biden's cognitive fitness or about how Kamala is the best candidate ever. Either way, you can go back to pretending to think mercifully unburdened of the demand to engage in the real thing. In the meantime, maybe just take a nap till it all blows over. And that's a perfect way to end it. That's a perfect way to really talk about this. Folks, If Biden stays in, it's not my problem. If the DNC picks a new nominee, it's not my problem. If the Democrats lose, it's not my problem. If the Democrats win, it's not my problem. If Trump wins, it's not my problem. It doesn't matter who sits on the White House because it's all bullshit. It's all bull. It's all crap. None of these people are real people. None of them are honest. None of them really give a damn about the Republic or you. This is an embarrassment. And the thing is, this is where we have to step in because our silent, obedient consent created this nightmare. The media lied to us. Our politicians lied to us. Both political parties lied to us. The donors control everything. We got to start building movements and organizations not connected to Washington, D.C., so we can actually have a better future. Because if we don't, we're going to get more people like Biden and more people like Trump. This is not how a republic should govern itself. We have to be better. As far as I'm concerned, liberals, this is your fight. You're on your own. You made it very clear that you don't need me or my audience or progressives or independents. So fight on your own. But I'm going to tell you one thing. As the media starts focusing more and more on Biden, as more smartphones are coming out here capturing his gas and his stutters and his moments of looking senile and lost, you can't deny reality. Wake up to reality. Your old dog doesn't have that dog in him anymore, and it's embarrassing. I'm getting secondhand embarrassment looking at a lot of you liberals. How do you go to sleep at night?